have family and I'm pregnant or whatever, but
Why aren't you telling the truth? You didn't know who the father was.
you knew that
were
from
telling
day
every-
one.
He took me home
See,
to
the
his
thing
house,
is this.
and
This
I
woman
went.
right
And
here, she
this is
got
how I
game.
did.
Wait a minute. He took you home to his house. Where was his wife and his kid?
This case explodes with drama right away. Ms. Hermann insists Mr. Houston is the father of her 2-year-old son, Corey, but Mr. Houston says no way. He claims she's lying and the DNA will clear him. To make matters worse, Hermann discovered mid-pregnancy that Houston wasn't just a single man, he had a wife and kids the whole time. Judge Lake looks at him like, "Sir, did you really think Facebook wouldn't expose you?"
Miss Hermann, you are here to prove that Mr. Houston is the biological father of your 2-year-old son, Corey. You contend the defendant duped you and was living a double life. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Hermann explains how she found out the truth. After 2 doctor visits, Houston suddenly stopped showing up. Her gut told her something was off, so she went full Inspector Gadget. Scrolling Facebook, there it was, pictures of Houston rocking a wedding band. She confronts him, and he admits nothing. Judge Lake raises an eyebrow. "You forgot to mention your wife and 5 children?" Houston shrugs, calling it extra stuff. Extra stuff?
That's what I do. I investigate.
Okay, and what made your woman's intuition kick in?
So during the time I was pregnant, I had told Mr. Houston that I was pregnant. He said that he would be there for me and my child. After 2 doctor's appointments, he stopped showing up.
Hermann recounts how they met. She was out at a club when Houston charmed her with patron shots and flashy rims on his truck. At just 18, she thought he had it all. That same night, they went back to what she thought was his house. She even checked for stilettos and baby toys to make sure no wife lived there. Turns out, it wasn't his house at all. The lies started day 1.
He was very charming and appealing at the time, buying me shots of Patron. You know, that's an expensive drink. He also had a truck with rims on it and with nice, nice beats in it. So at the young age that I am,
Houston admits he took her to a buddy's bachelor pad, not his own home. He claims their fling lasted only a month and a half, but Hermann says she told him she was pregnant and he promised he'd be there. His wife, meanwhile, had no idea he was sneaking out at 2 a.m., leaving her and the kids asleep while he drove off to Hermann's apartment. Talk about betrayal at every level.
about a month and a half, when I found out I was pregnant, I told Cortez that I was pregnant, and he didn't say anything on the other line of that phone. He said, "Are you for real?" I said, "Yes, I'm for real." Then he promised that he would be there throughout the whole pregnancy.
Then the twist. Houston's wife joins via video. She reveals she discovered the affair through a text that read, "When I have the baby, I want to move in with you." She was stunned and pregnant herself at the time. Imagine being home carrying his child while another woman is pregnant too. Judge Lake shakes her head in disbelief. Hermann admits Houston told her he'd be there, but his wife calls his bluff.
Thank you for joining us today. If you've heard the testimony thus far, you hear that Ms. Hermann and your now ex-husband were in a relationship, unfortunately, during your marriage. How did you find out about Ms. Hermann?
Houston tries to explain, claiming he's in the business of making babies. Yes, he really said that. He insists fatherhood connects him to his late dad, whom he lost as a child. Judge Lake tries to empathize, but then he ruins it, comparing women to chicken. "It's like eating chicken every day. I wanted something else." The entire courtroom groans. Judge Lake cuts him off. "You are not about to compare women to chicken in my courtroom."
I have every reason to extend my bloodline. Let me let you know, when I was 10 years old, I lost my superhero, my father, and once I seen my baby, it was really like a replacement because I could see all my dad's features.
Hermann, meanwhile, accuses him of being a deadbeat. She says he's done nothing for Corey, while Houston insists he bought shoes and car seats. She fires back that all he brought was 1 pack of diapers. Judge Lake sighs, exhausted. "Sir, a pack of diapers doesn't make you father of the year." The crowd laughs, but the tension is heavy. Both sides accuse the other of lying non-stop.
Mr. Houston testified that he wants to be a dad. Has he been a dad to Corey?
No, he doesn't do anything for Corey at all.
So I didn't buy
He
nothing.
doesn't do anything for Corey
None
at
of this
all.
woman.
Houston doubles down, saying Corey doesn't even look like him. He points to his duck lips and pointy nose that all his kids supposedly have, insisting Corey's smooshed nose proves otherwise. Hermann fires back, swearing on God there's no other possible father. She even says if Houston isn't the dad, she'll dance the Holy Ghost shuffle right there in court. The audience roars at that promise.
Your Honor, if she opened the door when I needed to open the door, what makes you think I'm sure she did this already. She had plenty of men over there. I mean, she had hickeys.
Finally, Judge Lake calls for the results. The courtroom holds its breath as the envelope is opened, and here it is, the bombshell. "Mr. Houston, you are not the father." Gasps echo through the room. Hermann throws her hands up and shouts, "Thank you, Jesus. I don't have to deal with this man anymore." Houston shakes his head, mumbling he already knew. Judge Lake just sighs. Another family torn apart by lies. Testifies.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Houston, you are not the father.
Yes. Thank
Hermann admits afterward she had been with someone else before Houston, but swears she thought Corey was his. Judge Lake scolds her. You knew how to make this mess, now you need to clean it up. Houston looks relieved but disappointed, saying he did love Corey and wanted to be in his life. Judge Lake reminds him, you can still love him. He just isn't yours biologically.
So you're saying once you met Mr. Houston, you only slept with him, but the truth is you were already pregnant.
It's a little
I'm
relief,
assuming
though.
so.
Do
Yeah.
you know who your child's father is?
Yeah,
It ain't me.
Does he want to be in Corey's life?
I doubt it.
You now have ruined your family.
The case ends with Judge Lake urging both sides to stop the finger pointing and focus on what matters most, Corey's future. Hermann looks freed, Houston looks conflicted, and the wife, likely somewhere shaking her head. Drama doesn't even begin to cover it. This wasn't just about sneaking out at night, it was about lies that lit up 3 households at once. Talk about messy.
She already done separated us.
Listen, that's why we have this counsel, because I want you all to see how to go forward.
This case starts with 2 decades of doubt. Ms. Allen insists Mr. Childs fathered her daughter, Aisha Baylor, after a brief affair. But Mr. Childs denies it, claiming she was seeing multiple men at the time. For 20 years, Aisha has lived in limbo, caught between rumors, lies, and silence. Now, she's here to finally get the truth. Judge Lake looks around the courtroom, bracing for fireworks.
Miss Allen, you say that after a brief affair with Mr. Childs, you discovered you were pregnant with your daughter, Ms. Baylor.
Allen recounts their fling. It began after a football game and a few drinks, quickly turning into unprotected sex. She admits it only lasted a few encounters, but she told him from the start that Aisha could be his. Childs shakes his head, saying she always spread rumors without proof. Judge Lake leans in. So you're here saying you told him it was a possibility, but now you're saying you're certain? Which is it?
We got together like that. We end up messing around or whatever. Nothing serious.
So you all get together, you have mutual friends, you start having sex.
Well,
obviously unprotected.
When Aisha was born, Childs wasn't invited to the hospital, and Allen didn't put him on the birth certificate. She even told other men they might be the father. The contradictions pile up. Judge Lake asks bluntly, if you said multiple men could be the father, why are you pointing at Mr. Childs today? Allen doubles down, because I was with him first. The courtroom side-eyes that answer.
Why am I living in her head rent-free, but she can't remember who fathered her child? Furthermore, Your Honor, he's always been there for my children. So this little song and dance she doing.
Enter Ms. Johnson, Childs' wife. She's had enough of Allen blaming her, calling Allen obsessed and claiming she's living rent-free in her head. Johnson reveals Aisha once tested another man, proving Allen's story doesn't add up. Judge Lake raises her voice. So you can remember chasing her down the street, but not who fathered your child? The audience laughs, but the tension is thick.
He came out and asked me, and he said, you know, I was messing with your mom around the time. I wanted to get a DNA test with you.
Okay, someone reached out to you,
Yes.
Ms. Baylor, and said, I think I may be your father.
Aisha speaks up, explaining she learned the truth as a teen. Her stepdad confessed her mother was already pregnant when they met. The community whispers didn't help. At 14, she was bombarded by people saying, you know TJ is your dad. Imagine being a kid and strangers debating your fatherhood at the grocery store. The heartbreak in her voice is raw, and Judge Lake softens immediately.
Just hearing rumors, just going over my grandmother's house in Bowling Green. And that's where basically he is from. And everybody would come to me like, you're my cousin, TJ's your dad. I'm like, I don't know who TJ is. Who is TJ?
Aisha remembers reaching out to Childs herself through Facebook. She says he never denied her and was open to building a bond. Childs insists he's always been willing, but frustrated Allen never sought child support because that would have forced a DNA test years ago. Judge Lake nods, agreeing that the system could have resolved this long ago if someone had acted. 20 years wasted in doubt.
And
I don't know what's going on. I'm confused.
I know,
I'm confused too.
I know, and that's why I'm trying to understand this, because at the end of the day, you have a right to understand.
Allen admits she never pushed the issue because she was tired of the drama, but Childs claims she just wanted the title of having him as the father because he was a good catch. The audience gasps at his arrogance, but he says it with a straight face. Judge Lake smirks. Sir, did you just say you were a good catch? Even she can't let that slide.
Or was it that you just really knew that you didn't know for sure if it was him?
Well, it didn't even matter because I just was
didn't
tired
matter
of
to
going
you.
through the drama
It didn't
with
matter.
her.
Childs then presents his so-called evidence. All his kids are tall and born with an extra finger. Yes, a sixth finger. He insists his genes are so strong, Baylor would show it too if she were his. Johnson backs him up, saying they even saw it on an ultrasound once. Judge Lake nearly bursts out laughing. So now we're basing paternity off pinky fingers? The courtroom chuckles nervously.
My first evidence is with my children. All my children have 6 fingers, Your Honor. Both of my kids are very tall and look just like, all my kids look just like.
Despite the circus of finger evidence, Allen still believes Childs is the father. She says today's results could finally bring healing for Aisha. Baylor herself gets emotional, saying she just wants closure. She's not angry, just tired of living in uncertainty. Judge Lake praises her strength. It's okay to admit you're hurt. Every child deserves to know whose blood runs through their veins. The whole room nods.
That Mr. Childs is her biological father?
Yes,
You do believe that?
I really do.
After today's results, what are you hoping?
Then comes the moment of truth. Judge Lake slowly opens the envelope, the courtroom silent. In the case of 20-year-old Aisha Baylor, Mr. Childs, you are not the father. Gasps ripple through the courtroom. Aisha closes her eyes, swallowing the pain. Allen apologizes, finally admitting her mistakes. Childs exhales, relieved but also somber. 20 years of questions, answered in one sentence.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Childs, you are not the father. I'm very sorry, Miss Baylor.
Judge Lake delivers the final word. This isn't the end, but a new beginning. She urges Allen to stop hiding and help Aisha find her real father. She reassures Baylor, saying, "This is not your fault. You are worthy and you deserve the truth." With counseling resources offered, court adjourns. The story ends with heartbreak, but also hope, because the search for truth continues.
But I just want you to understand this is just one step. This now takes this particular question out of the picture, and now we move forward.
This episode is heartbreaking from the start. Ms. Jones-Henry claims Mr. Jackson swept her off her feet, only to abandon her after she became pregnant. Their daughter Melanie has never met him, until today. Imagine being 35 years old and meeting the man you believe is your father for the first time in court. Judge Lake says she can feel the anger and sadness in the room already.
Ms. Jones-Henry, you say that the defendant, Mr. Jackson, swept you off your feet only to dump you after finding out you were pregnant.
Melanie's voice cracks as she shares her pain. She says she feels lost and unwanted, recalling how she once called Jackson as a child, begging him to come see her, and he never showed up. She asks the question no child should ever have to, how could he not want me? Tears well up, and the entire courtroom feels the weight of her words. This is heartbreak in real time.
Ms. Jones-Henry,
Yes, Your Honor.
I can feel the anger. I can cut the tension with the knife in here right now. And Melanie, how are you feeling right now in this moment, Ms. Jones?
Mr. Jackson pushes back, saying he never believed Melanie was his daughter. He claims Jones-Henry admitted to being with another man. When Judge Lake presses, Jackson admits he tricked her into supposedly confessing. Judge Lake leans forward, incredulous. You tricked her? Jackson insists she slipped up, but Jones-Henry fires back, saying she never admitted such a thing. This back and forth is messy and painful.
Excuse me, may I address it? It's not true.
She admitted that she's with someone else. I tricked her into admitting that she was with someone else.
So wait a minute, you saying you tricked her into admitting that?
Jones-Henry recounts their relationship. They met in a club. He was in the military, young and charming. She says they spent every day together while he was in town, and she believed they'd get married. Jackson laughs it off, saying she fell too hard too fast. But when Judge Lake asks if he slept with her, he admits he did. So, those red flags weren't that serious after all.
When I met Mr. Jackson, I met him at a club. He was in the military. We were together all week long while we wasn't a fly-by-night. We was just together.
When Jones-Henry told him she was pregnant, she remembers no reaction at all. No joy, no denial, just nothing. Jackson claims he knew she was lying and accused her of being with another man. Jones-Henry breaks down, saying she was in love with him, already dreaming of a future together. Judge Lake listens intently, her face showing both sympathy and disbelief.
So no reaction?
None.
No joy? boy?
None.
Nothing.
Nothing.
Did he deny it at the time?
He didn't deny or he just gave no reaction.
We learn Jackson wasn't there for the birth. Instead, he later discovered his military checks were being garnished for child support. At 19, he says he just went along with it, even signing an affidavit of paternity to get extra pay. Judge Lake nearly explodes. So you acknowledged paternity just for more money? The audience gasps. Melanie chimes in saying, if you feel that strongly, you fight. Exactly.
You start to pay child support.
Mr. Jackson, so how did you find out if you weren't there for the birth and you weren't there to sign this birth certificate, how did you find out you were on child support?
The tension spikes when Jackson calls Melanie a meal ticket. The courtroom groans, and Jones Henry furiously reminds him this was a child, not a paycheck. Judge Lake scolds him. Did you really just call your potential daughter a meal ticket? Even Jackson looks embarrassed. Melanie, hurt but composed, points out she looks like her own children, insisting she sees the resemblance to him. This moment is gut-punching.
And so
child.
at this
That's what I-
point, so wait a minute.
She was a meal ticket, but
No, she wasn't.
$35 a check.
She's my child. I've been here. I stood with her. I was there when she cried. I was there when she asked for you.
Jones Henry insists she was never with any other men, holding to her story for 35 years. She breaks down, saying she always spoke highly of Jackson to Melanie, hoping he'd one day step up. Her voice trembles as she admits she loved him deeply, even as he denies her now. Judge Lake highlights the devastating betrayal, calling out how Jackson's actions left lifelong scars.
They were the fault.
So you're saying you never had any doubts because there were no other men.
I had never had any doubt.
But were there any other men?
No.
Melanie finally takes the floor again, addressing Jackson directly. She says even if he doubted her, he could have at least given her the chance to know who her real father was. Instead, his denial left her with nothing but confusion and pain. Judge Lake agrees. This saga has gone on for 35 years too long. The silence in the courtroom is deafening.
And so then that was another level of disappointment and trauma for a young girl. But you were only doing it because you were just trying to make ends meet.
Then comes the moment of truth. Judge Lake slowly opens the results. Tension sky high. In the case of 35-year-old Melanie Jones, Mr. Jackson, you are not the father. Gasps erupt. Jones. Henry breaks down, insisting she had no other man. Melanie nods sadly, but says she came for closure, and now she finally has it. Jackson whispers an apology, saying he feels bad for all the pain caused.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Jackson, you are not the father.
Really?
Judge Lake comforts Melanie, reminding her this result doesn't define her worth. She praises her strength and assures her she is loved and valuable. Resources for counseling are offered, and Judge Lake tells her, this is not the ending of your story. This is the beginning of a new chapter. Melanie wipes away tears, determined to move forward. It's a bittersweet close, but closure at last.
We have counseling and resources for everyone. We want you to take advantage of it, and we want you to figure out how to move forward. I know it's going to be difficult, but you can. And you will. I wish you all the very best of luck.
This case is wild. Mr. Jennings raised his daughter Taylor for 26 years. Diapers, birthdays, everything. Only for his ex-wife, Ms. Lynn, to suddenly claim he's not the biological father. Can you imagine? After 2 decades, she drops that bomb. Judge Lake stares in disbelief. So you wait 26 years to question this? The tension is already off the charts before a single DNA result is even mentioned.
Mr. Jennings, after raising your daughter Taylor for 26 years, from diapers to adulthood, and never doubting paternity of your little girl,
Jennings says Lynn is only doing this out of spite and jealousy, but Lynn fires back that their daughter asked for the truth after hearing it from someone else. Taylor recalls being 12 or 13 when she overheard Lynn say Jennings wasn't her father. The memory haunts her still. Judge Lake shakes her head. Children shouldn't have to carry this kind of trauma. You can already feel Taylor's heartbreak bubbling.
spite. Are you spiteful, Ms. Lynn?
No. First and foremost, if I was spiteful, I wouldn't be standing here right now.
We learn their teenage romance was straight out of a movie. Lynn ran away from home to be with Jennings, but under Georgia law, she needed to be pregnant to marry him without parental consent. So they hatched a plan, get pregnant on purpose. The audience gasps, Judge Lake raises an eyebrow, and Lynn admits it proudly. But then comes the kicker. Lynn says Jennings wasn't the only one she was sleeping with.
All right, I was very young. My parents did not want us together at all. It was strictly forbidden. I ran away from home to be with him.
That revelation hits like a truck. Jennings swears he had no clue, while Lynn insists he knew. Judge Lake has Jerome bring out Jennings' timeline, complete with dates, marriage certificates, and even a health department letter confirming Lynn's pregnancy test. Jennings argues the math proves he's the father, but Lynn won't budge, saying other men are still possibilities. The courtroom feels like it's unraveling with every new piece of evidence.
So you moved to Alabama?
Back to where I was when I was in kindergarten. The law don't come up there. They know better than come on top of the mountain up there, so there was no chance of getting
Oh, you
caught.
went up on top of the mountain where the law don't come.
Yeah.
And it gets messier. Lynn admits they even discussed DNA testing when Taylor was just 2 months old with another potential father, but never followed through. Jennings says that's when their marriage began to crumble. Yet despite all that, they had another daughter together, whose paternity is not in question. Judge Lake is floored. So one daughter you doubted, but another you didn't? This family tree is tangled beyond belief.
Because
That's
your
simple.
testimony is that during the time Taylor was conceived, you know you were with Ms. Lynn.
Yes.
And you know that you were not in Georgia, you were in Alabama.
Taylor takes the stand, her voice cracking. She says, hearing at 13 that Jennings might not be her dad made her feel like her whole life was a lie. She thought she'd lose the man who raised her, the only dad she's ever known. Judge Lake listens closely, visibly moved. As Taylor explains, she's been haunted by doubt for over a decade. This isn't just drama, it's raw pain.
Because your testimony is that you've been open to get a DNA test from the very beginning because you knew there was more than one possibility.
Yes, ma'am.
Is Mr. Jennings even a possibility?
As Taylor grew older, she took matters into her own hands. At 23, she started digging through her mother's social media, contacting old friends, and piecing together clues. Incredibly, one man admitted outright, "Yes, I could be your father." They even met for dinner before falling out. Judge Lake can barely believe her ears. This young woman had to play detective in her own paternity case.
Thanksgiving or Christmas, I asked her because the other guy, I guess, like looks-wise, it's possible, I guess, you know, like, and then so I'd asked her and she didn't tell me anything.
Lynn admits that man was, in fact, a real possibility. Taylor notes she looks like him. Same nose, same lips. But there's another potential dad, too. She dismisses one man with blonde hair and blue eyes as definitely not it, but the doubt remains. Judge Lake leans back, sighing, as the audience buzzes. This young woman has lived her whole life surrounded by whispers and uncertainty.
He said, "It's me."
Yes.
Met for dinner. Did you tell your mom this?
Yes.
Miss Lynn, you knew all about this when she met up with this other man for dinner?
After the fact.
After the fact.
Yes, ma'am.
Finally, the DNA results arrive. Judge Lake reads slowly. In the case of 26-year-old Taylor Martini, Mr. Jennings, you are not the father. Gasps erupt. Jennings looks shattered. Taylor's face crumbles as tears stream down. Lynn tells her daughter, "He's always been your daddy, and he always will be." But Taylor fires back, furious. "If you hadn't been selfish, I wouldn't have to live with this lie."
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Jennings, you are not the father.
This episode starts off already complicated. Ms. Garnett insists Mr. Langston is her father, her best friend, her daddy, the man she's always known. But Langston claims he's carried doubts from the very beginning and is convinced today's DNA will prove he's not the father. Both sides are demanding apologies once the truth comes out. Judge Lake looks around like, oh, this is about to get messy.
Ms. Garnett, you and your mother, Ms. Miller, have opened your case to prove to the defendant that he is your biological father.
The story kicks off with a text message that changed everything. Garnett had been begging Langston to respond after years of silence. Finally, he sent her a bombshell text saying he believed her mother lied and that he wasn't her father. Garnett looks devastated as the message is read aloud. She says it crushed her heart, and Judge Lake shakes her head. Texts always bring the drama in paternity court.
It started with a text message about a couple months ago.
Okay.
That wasn't the very beginning, but this is why we're here.
Garnett explains she thought everything was fine when she visited him for a funeral years ago. They laughed, supported each other, and she felt closer than ever. Then suddenly, he cut her off. Langston admits he couldn't shake his gut feeling she wasn't his. He claims he's had those doubts since she was born. Judge Lake looks stunned. So you've been holding this for decades, but only now you bring it up?
Well, I wasn't talking to her like I normally do.
Why?
Because I was just harboring this gut feeling that I had read from the beginning that she's not my daughter. I had it read from the beginning when she was born.
We flash back to when Garnett was a kid. She says she grew up a daddy's girl, always by Langston's side. They bonded deeply once she became an adult, going from father-daughter to best friends. But during that funeral trip, he told her for the very first time she might not be his daughter, then quickly took it back. Talk about emotional whiplash. Judge Lake sighs. Sir, you can't unring that bell.
Blew my mind. And he went on and on about him and my mother's past and all this, but then after he vomited all this tragedy on me, he recanted and took it back.
Langston says his doubts come from years of suspicion about Garnett's mother, Ms. Miller. He claims he once saw a cousin in her house acting suspicious. Miller laughs it off, saying that man was just a family friend and nothing ever happened. But Langston swears Miller even confessed to sleeping with him after being pressured. Miller shouts back, "Who you getting me mixed up with?" The courtroom is buzzing already.
And I said, yeah, what are you trying to do? He was trying to get some. I said, yeah, did you give him some? No, I didn't give him none. I said, hey, you know how I am. If you did it, you did it.
Miller firmly denies everything, insisting she only slept with Langston during the conception window. She says she even told him he was the father when she got pregnant. Langston doesn't recall that conversation. Judge Lake leans in with a raised brow. How do you forget something like that? The contradictions are flying left and right, and the courtroom feels like it's stuck in a tug-of-war of memories.
When the baby was born, Miss Garnett, did Mr. Langston participate in the birth?
Not at all. He didn't have, he was just not that type of person. I didn't even expect him to.
Then comes the money issue. Langston says he paid child support for 20 years, even overpaying by $100,000. Miller argues she never saw a dime of that money. It all went through the state. Judge Lake shakes her head, asking why he never demanded a DNA test back then. Miller claims she once got a test herself, but Langston never followed through. Judge Lake sighs. So we wasted 36 years because of indecision?
Not only 18 years, I paid it 20 years.
But when
they
did you
started
start?
sending me checks back for overpayment.
Garnett then pours her heart out. She says when she got that text from Langston, it broke her. I cried. My heart was crushed. She describes feeling like he ripped away her identity. She always knew she was a Langston. Judge Lake listens closely, nodding in sympathy. The pain is written all over Garnett's face, and you can hear the audience murmuring in empathy.
I cried my hardest cry. I was devastated. I felt like he was taking my identity away from me because I've always known I was a Langston.
But Garnett also shares the joy of bonding with Langston later in life. She recalls funny similarities, like both of them getting lost driving in circles, and says those quirks made her believe even more he was her father. Langston admits he loves her and didn't want to hurt her with that text, but he insists he had to face the truth. Judge Lake shakes her head. This is heartbreaking.
It's so much. He's been in Chicago all his life. He still get lost. I get lost in a circle.
The drama spikes when Garnett posts side-by-side photos on Facebook, herself and Langston's father. She says people immediately saw the resemblance, calling her Pawpaw's twin. She found comfort in believing her grandfather's features lived in her, but Langston makes it weird. He suggests maybe she resembles his father because her mother had a connection with him. The entire courtroom gasps. Judge Lake throws her hands up. Are you insinuating your father?
Amidst all of this confusion, you began to post on Facebook. You put this post up. Can you please step up to the plasma and tell the court why you posted this?
Miller shuts that down fast, saying she looked at Langston's father like family and never crossed that line. Judge Lake gives her a serious look. No doubt at all? Miller swears none. At this point, the courtroom is spinning. Texts, cousins, child support money, even grandpa rumors. Judge Lake finally calls for the DNA results. Everyone leans in, bracing for the truth bomb. Here it is. Judge Lake reads slowly.
But I don't trust myself.
Hold on, Mr. Langston. So wait, you believe that you may not be Miss Garnett's biological father?
In the case of 36-year-old Shauna Garnett, Mr. Langston, you are not the father. Gasps ripple through the courtroom. Garnett breaks down in tears, clutching her face. Langston holds her, repeating, "You my baby, you my baby." The heartbreak is raw and heavy. Judge Lake shakes her head. This is exactly what you feared, watching her break.
36-year-old Shauna Garnett. Mr. Langston, you are not the father.